It's strange how a person can spend years climbing towards something, only to discover at the top that what they were looking for was waiting at the bottom all along. Let me tell you about a man named David. David lived in the heart of a busy city. He worked as an architect in a glass tower that reflected the sky. His days were filled with blueprints and client meetings, coffee and paper cups, and the constant hum of ambition. He was 32 years old and considered successful by most measures. He had a modern apartment on the 14th floor, clean lines, minimal furniture, a view of the city lights at night. He had a good salary, a respected position, colleagues who admired his work. On paper, his life looked exactly as he'd planned it. But David felt hollow. Not sad, exactly, not depressed, just empty in a way he couldn't explain to anyone. As if he were living inside a room with all the lights on, but no warmth. So he did what many people do when they feel empty. He tried to fill the space. He upgraded his phone to the newest model. He bought a leather jacket he'd been eyeing for months. He subscribed to streaming services, fitness apps, meditation programs. He purchased books on productivity, success, happiness. He filled his apartment with things he thought would make him feel more complete. Each purchase brought a brief spark of satisfaction. A few hours, maybe a day or two, where he felt like he'd finally found the missing piece. Then the emptiness would return, wider than before. David started making lists, things he needed to achieve: a promotion, a better apartment, a car, travel to places he'd only seen in photographs. Each goal felt important, necessary, like the key that would unlock the life he was supposed to be living. He worked longer hours. He stayed late at the office, perfecting designs, impressing clients, climbing toward the next achievement. His colleagues left at 6. David stayed until 9, sometimes 10. He told himself it was ambition. He told himself it was drive. But really, he was running from the quiet. One Saturday morning, David awoke early with nothing scheduled. No meetings, no deadlines, no obligations. He sat on his couch and looked around his apartment. Everything was new, clean, carefully chosen. Yet the space felt cold, impersonal, like a showroom rather than a home. He decided to go for a walk. The city was different on weekend mornings, quieter. The usual rush of bodies and noise was replaced by a slower rhythm. David walked without direction, following streets he'd never bothered to explore. After an hour, he found himself in an older neighborhood he didn't recognize. The buildings here were smaller, worn. Trees grew along the sidewalks. There were corner shops, a small park, children playing on rusted swings. He noticed a community garden tucked between 2 apartment buildings. Inside, raised beds held vegetables in various stages of growth. A few people were working quietly, weeding, watering, talking in low voices. David stopped at the gate. He wasn't sure why. An older man looked up from where he was kneeling beside a row of tomato plants. He was perhaps 70, with weathered hands and a kind face. He smiled. "Looking for something?" the man asked. "I don't know, honestly. I was just walking." The man stood slowly, brushing dirt from his knees. "Would you like to come in? We don't bite." David hesitated, then stepped through the gate. "I'm Martin," the old man said, extending a hand. "David." They shook hands. Martin's grip was firm, his palm rough with calluses. "Do you garden?" Martin asked. "No, I live in an apartment." Martin nodded. "So do most of us here. That's why we made this." He gestured around the space. "A place to grow things, to work with our hands." They walked between the beds. Martin pointed out different plants, talking about them with quiet affection. He introduced David to the other gardeners, a young couple, a woman with gray hair, a teenager with headphones around his neck. "Do you own a plot here?" David asked. "That one," Martin said, pointing to a well-kept bed near the back. "Had it for 15 years. 15 years, David repeated. "That's a long time to grow vegetables." Martin smiled. "I'm not growing vegetables. Well, I am, but that's not really what this is about." David looked at him, curious. Martin sat down on a wooden bench at the edge of the garden and invited David to join him. They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, watching the other gardeners work. Then Martin said finally, "I used to be like you, younger, busy, always chasing the next thing. I worked in finance, made good money, bought a big house, expensive car, all of it. Thought that's what success looked like." He paused, his eyes distant. "Then I had a heart attack. Not a massive one, but enough to stop me cold. Lying in that hospital bed, I started thinking about what I'd actually done with my life, what I'd built, what mattered." "And?" David asked quietly. "And I realized I'd spent 40 years accumulating things, but never actually living. I had possessions, but no peace, achievements, but no joy. I was so busy trying to have more that I never noticed what I already had. When I got out of the hospital, I made changes, slowly. I downsized, sold the house, moved to a smaller apartment, got rid of most of my things, and I found this garden, started coming here every week." "What changed?" David asked. Martin looked at the vegetable beds, the dark soil, the green leaves catching the morning light. "I stopped wanting things and started wanting moments. I stopped trying to fill my life and started trying to live it. And something strange happened. The less I wanted, the richer I felt." David looked down at his hands. They were smooth, uncalloused, hands that touched keyboards and papers, but nothing real. "How do you do that? Stop wanting?" "You don't stop wanting completely. You just get more careful about what you want. You start asking, does this actually add to my life, or am I just filling space? Does this bring me joy, or does it just distract me from emptiness?" He gestured around the garden. "This plot, it gives me tomatoes, sure, but more than that, it gives me a reason to be outside, to use my body, to watch things grow, to talk to my neighbors, to feel useful. It costs almost nothing, but it makes me wealthy in ways money never did." They sat together for a long time. David watched the other gardeners work. There was something peaceful in their movements, unhurried, present, as if the work itself was enough. Before he left, Martin gave David a small seedling in a plastic cup. "Basil," he said, "put it on your windowsill. Water it when the soil feels dry. It won't change your life, but it might teach you something." David took the plant home. He set it on his kitchen windowsill, feeling slightly foolish. It was just a plant, but he watered it. Over the following weeks, something began to shift. David started noticing things he'd been too busy to see before. The way morning light fell across his apartment floor. The taste of his coffee when he actually paid attention to it. The sound of rain against his window. He stopped scrolling through shopping websites in the evenings. Instead, he sat by the window, watching the basil grow, its leaves spreading toward the light. He returned to the garden. Martin was there, working quietly among his plants. He looked up and smiled. "You came back." "I did."
"How's the basil?" "Growing." Martin nodded. "Good. Want to help me weed?" David ended up spending the morning there. His hands got dirty, his back ached from bending. He pulled weeds from between rows of lettuce, learning to distinguish them from seedlings. The work was simple, repetitive, completely absorbing. When he finished, he felt tired in a good way, clean somehow. His weekday life continued the same. Same job, same apartment, same routines. But something had changed in how he moved through it all. He stopped buying things he didn't need. When the urge to purchase arose, a new watch, a better coffee maker, another jacket, he paused. He asked himself Martin's question: does this add to my life, or am I just filling space? Most of the time, the answer was filling space. He began to notice how much energy he'd been spending on wanting, energy that could have gone to living. His apartment slowly emptied, not dramatically, just gradually. He donated clothes he never wore. He sold the expensive sound system he rarely used. He kept what he needed, what he actually valued, and let the rest go. With less to maintain, less to organize, less to worry about, he found himself with more time, more space, more quiet. And in that quiet, something unexpected happened. He started enjoying his own company. He cooked simple meals and ate them slowly. At work, he stopped staying late just to seem ambitious. He did his work well and then went home. His colleagues noticed the change but didn't understand it. David didn't bother explaining. How could he tell them that leaving at 5 felt more like success than any promotion ever had? Months passed. He grew tomatoes, cucumbers, herbs. Not because he needed to save money on groceries, but because the act of growing something with his own hands made him feel alive. One evening, David sat on the bench with Martin, watching the sun set behind the city buildings. "I keep thinking about something you said," David told him. "About being rich in ways money never made you. I think I'm starting to understand." Martin smiled. "What changed?" David thought for a moment. "I used to think I needed more of everything. More money, more things, more achievements. I thought that's what would make me happy. But I was trying to fill something that couldn't be filled that way. And now? Now I want less, and somehow I have more. More time, more peace, more, I don't know, life, I guess." Martin nodded slowly. "That's the paradox. The less you need, the richer you become. Because you're no longer dependent on external things for your contentment. You find it in what's already here." They sat in comfortable silence, watching the light fade. David continued his life. Same city, same job, same apartment. But he moved through it differently now. Lighter, more present, more alive. He kept the basil plant Martin had given him. It grew large, its leaves fragrant and green. Every time he used it in cooking, he remembered that first Saturday morning, the moment when his life had begun to change, not through addition, but through subtraction. Not through getting more, but through wanting less. Perhaps you recognize this hunger, this feeling that something is missing, that you're not quite there yet, that the life you're living isn't quite the life you're meant to be living. Consider this. What if nothing is missing? What if the abundance you're seeking isn't waiting to be found, but waiting to be recognized in what you already have? What if the key to feeling rich isn't accumulating more, but releasing the need for more? This isn't about denying yourself. It's about distinguishing between what truly adds to your life and what simply fills the space where contentment should be. True abundance isn't measured by what you own. It's measured by how much you can appreciate what you have. And when you finally stop reaching for the next thing, you might discover that everything you needed was already in your hands. Thank you for being here. If this story spoke to you, share it forward. Subscribe for more stories that help us see life differently.